Hello, Kaylin. It's Friday night. We're doing it early this week.
Are we?
This it's earlier than previously, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
You got music playing. That's great.
Oh shit, my bad. Sorry about that.
No. I was actually going to say that's a cool aesthetic to have going. Have some tunes.
Did it come through clearly though?
It did when I went over to your actual live. It did come through pretty clearly.
I was just doing a little preview. I was just doing a little pre-show, trying to get some people excited and some get the feelers out or whatever. I don't know what the word is.
Feelers is fine. Feelers works. We've done it, man. We got Corey in the house. I couldn't help but notice, since the last time we talked, you've gotten rid of most of your beard. As have I. I trimmed it down a bit too. Yeah, I didn't get a haircut, but you did get a haircut. Why was that? Was that because of a legal choice, or was that because of new job prospects?
The best answer I can give you.
Okay.
So it was a combination of things. One was like kind of it was more of an issue for other people or some other people than it was for me, right? But I'm the one with it, so I'm just, like, if it's an issue, so be it. But it's, keep it to yourself or whatever. But anyway, so yeah. I just heard a lot about it. I liked it personally. I was fine with it. Like,
you hear about it. When you have a big beard and you have shaggy hair, you hear about having a big beard and shaggy hair, especially if you have the kind of job where do you go into a lot of Zoom meetings for your job?
No. We do have meetings like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And so like with that, like there'd be it's just with some people it just affects them. Some people just focus on things, right? Or like different things affect different people or whatever, right? And so like there was a combination of that. And then the main factor was I went on like a few dates, but they never went past the date. Like, it was with different people and it never went past the thing. And so it basically felt like it was preventing other areas of my life.
Hey, I understand that. As a married person, I don't have to obviously worry about going on different dates with different people. But when I was in the dating scene, I do remember it was night and day if I showed up to a date looking like a scraggly old scraggle man, versus being a clean-shaven, look like I have things going on in my life, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And during COVID times, like you're in a rare situation, a unique situation where you can actually go out and go on dates and go out and have dinner with friends and go to bars and stuff, because Halifax isn't under strict quarantine. Toronto also isn't under strict quarantine, but it's under much more strict quarantine than Halifax is. Toronto is like, everybody stay home. We're under a state of emergency. But also, please go out to businesses and use our businesses. But also, don't hang out with any of your friends or family. But also, you're allowed to hang out with 5 people outdoors. So where's the beginning and end of that? Can I take 15 of my friends out to a park and socially distance in groups of 5? Where does it end? So it's fucked up here. And I have sadness for all the people of Toronto, but I have happiness for all the people of Halifax. And I'd just like to start this show off tonight by saying, hello, Kaylin. We are the Beard Buddies. We do movie reviews monthly. I suppose it's been monthly. We're going to try to do it a little bit more frequently. Tonight, last time was an experiment to see if we could keep an episode to 1 hour. This week, this episode was 2 things.
Yeah.
I wanted to reinforce, yes, but I wanted to do it earlier as more of like we're prepared, We're not going to show up on the internet at like 11 o'clock at night my time. Like last time it was late. On top of that, we're also in a unique situation where we watched a movie that neither of us had seen,
This time,
which we toiled over because Kaylin has seen every movie under the sun, and I've seen like 10% of all the movies.
No, I thought you've seen a lot of movies.
I've seen a lot of movies, but nothing on the level that you've seen. Not even close. I'm like the inverse of you when it comes to movies because I'm more of a TV person. I've seen I've watched every TV show all the way through. I've seen everything.
3 times. And I was thinking about TV shows. I'm not sure if we can carry it over to this or not, but they have crossed my mind as well.
Well, how would we implement that? We watch a whole season of a show or a whole show.
A whole show. Well,
like watch 9 seasons of fucking Friends. Watch 11 seasons of Friends.
You know what I wish Netflix would do though? I wish they would have like a special features section where you could listen to the commentary or see some behind the scenes shit. That would be kind of cool. But
that would be dope.
Corey's right. Lately I've been watching my movies with commentary because I've seen them all, and so I needed something different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we did this, and we picked the movie The Sisters Brothers. Or is it that's how I've been pronouncing it. That's how I've been pronouncing it. I realized when I turned the movie on and started watching it. I know, but it's The Sisters Brothers.
Yeah.
When I looked at it on Netflix, I thought it was The Sisters Brothers, but I realized it's The Sisters Brothers. I know it's subtle. I know it's a weird thing to say that way, but
yeah,
it had to be said because in my head this whole time I was like, The Sisters Brothers. Oh, they're brothers whose names are sisters, therefore they're the Sisters Brothers. I'm glad I can clear that up for the audience.
I definitely was confused at the beginning, like reading it is like, yeah, the Sisters Brothers. And yeah, like, is it some sisters brothers or what? And also, like, I don't know why, but for some reason I thought we were going into a comedy. And I don't know why I thought
so. Before we get into the actual movie itself, I was talking to my friend who was I almost said a legit movie reviewer, but I like to fancy us legitimate movie reviewers. He has a job where he gets paid money to review movies, and he's seen all of the writer-director's stuff and said that we would probably, if we like this, we would probably like his other work. And also this movie is based on a book, and in the book apparently a lot of the humor doesn't translate to the movie, and it is kind of a dark black comedy,
right,
which does come through in the movie. There are a lot of really like funny moments, but they're not really played for laughs is the thing. There's a lot of stuff that's like that's funny, not haha funny.
Yeah, it's like it's an internal.
There's a lot of really, like, we'll run the movie down, but the one scene that I keep running over and over in my head is when he pukes the spider's web and then looks over and sees a dead bear and his horse was all fucked up. And Joaquin Phoenix is like, man, last night was messed up, dude. We got to get out of here. It smells like death and it's all soaked. We got to get out of here. But what did you think of the movie? Like, what was like? I was like, oh no, did we pick a bad one? But then I went through a roller coaster of a ride of a movie. So
yes, I watched it going in with I was basically a clean slate. For some reason I thought it was going to be a comedy, but other than that, like, had no kind of expectations otherwise. And it definitely threw me for a loop. I did get a feeling of I wasn't enjoying it, and I felt bad. Like, I felt bad thinking that at the time. And then it did kind of start to, like, things started to happen and shit. And so I do need to give it another watch. I feel, yeah, I to give it an honest, like, opinion about it, I'd have to give it, like, another watch or whatever. But I was off put at the beginning, and then got like pulled in and started to enjoy myself. And then it ended.
Yeah. So I was of kind of two minds. The first act, they don't explain anything, and it's just world building in a way that's almost feels like you're supposed to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But then right at the beginning of the second act, they just start explaining everything to make everything that's happened previously make sense.
Right.
And when that sort of happens, when you sort of I mean, right off the bat, the very first scene is them going in and killing a guy that like owes money. So I was like, are they bounty hunters? Or is this a vendetta? But you find out that they're assassins. They're hired guns. They work for the Commodore, who is just some guy we don't really ever meet because of shit later in the movie. But the thing is they do jobs for the Commodore, basically, and if they don't do these jobs for the Commodore sends guys to kill them. So they're assassins. That's not really made clear in the beginning, and like I said, lots of things just keep happening. When they introduce Jake Gyllenhaal's character shortly after that, it's like two stories happening simultaneously until about the halfway point of the movie. And Jake Gyllenhaal's story also makes no sense because he's just some guy who's meeting up with this other guy, Warm. His name's Herbert Warm. Is that his name?
I think Herbert. Yeah.
Herman?
It was Herbert.
Herman Warm? Anyway. And he's a guy who has this formula. And they don't explain that till way later what the formula means. All he says is he's got a divination formula that can find gold in rivers. It illuminates.
You know what it is?
I'm like, what is any of this?
It's layered. It's layered. It's a movie where you have to watch it again, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll have another.
Because knowing what we know now, watching that. Yeah. Knowing what we know now about how it ends up in the midpoint when the horrible shit happens and the ending, going back and watching that opening half hour, 45 minutes again, you're gonna already understand everything, and it's gonna make a lot more sense. So the movie almost goes in a loop.
Yeah, exactly.
In that way.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought was interesting, and I kind of was wondering, going back to our conversation we had a few minutes ago about television, this premise, like a boisterous one and a sort of quiet two cowboys who are assassins, would be a great serial television show where each week they have to go do a thing. Kind of like The Mandalorian, where each week he goes and does it. Him and Grogu, the fucking baby Yoda, have to go and do a thing, right?
Yeah, I got to do a thing. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so I think, dude, Joaquin Phoenix was phenomenal in this movie. He played the asshole perfectly. And John C. Reilly, he didn't do his bumbling buffoon voice at all. He spoke very eloquently.
Yeah.
It was really bizarre seeing him with long hair at the beginning.
Yeah.
Something I'd never seen before. When you picture John C. Reilly, you really just picture him as like Step Brothers.
Yeah, that look or whatever, for sure, yeah.
Where he's like, I'm a dummy. But in this, he wasn't.
See him in, what's it called, Magnolia?
No.
He had a little role in Magnolia where he had, like, it was kind of a more serious role, which it was different. And, like, I guess I feel like I said earlier that I didn't go in with expectations, but I guess I actually did. I was kind of thinking that, he was going to be more of a jokester or whatever.
Yeah, like the comic relief of the movie.
Yeah.
But there wasn't really that comic relief. I guess the things that happen to him are comical, like him with the toothbrush. There's this really, really interesting, like, I wouldn't really call it a subplot, but he's like, he goes into a convenience store and he picks up a toothbrush, and the store owner comes over and explains to him how a toothbrush works and gives him a pamphlet.
Yeah.
And then much later in the movie, he sees Jake Gyllenhaal's character actually using the toothbrush, and they sort of look at each other and have a moment where it's like, yeah, oral hygiene. And then across the pond, Charlie looks at them kind of like these fucking future boys trying to go into the future and clean their teeth.
Yeah, and he's doing it all like awkwardly.
Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal's like, I've been doing this for quite some time.
Yeah.
So that was another thing I liked. The main cast of this movie was awesome. I couldn't believe are there other movies with Jake Gyllenhaal and Joaquin Phoenix in them together like that?
No, but he was awesome in Nightcrawler, and his little sidekick guy was the same guy. I forget the guy's name. I'm sorry. I actually have to apologize. I didn't do, for the last few ones we've done, I had like lists and lists and lists of notes, and I wasn't as prepared this time. My apologies, viewers.
I took notes for the movie
either, but I did.
I took notes.
A glass of wine.
That's fine. I mean, we're doing this a little bit more. This is the most professional we've done it. I just cracked a beer about 2 hours ago, so I've been working on the same beer for 2 hours.
I've been trying not to smoke, and I've been going crazy.
Cigarettes or weed?
Cigarettes.
Oh, you gotta persevere, man. Smoking cigarettes is so 2013.
So you're saying
I don't know,
right?
Yes.
What do you vape or whatever? Or you
I vape.
Yeah, okay.
When I'm drinking.
Okay.
You know, like I still roll joints with tobacco.
Where do you get the tobacco from?
I have a bag of tobacco. I don't
smoke tobacco to roll with your joints?
Yeah, and I make it last for a year.
Well, yeah, it's a bag. Like they're like this. If you're just using it for joints.
Well,
do you ever make cigarettes out of them?
Never.
Just for.
I haven't smoked a cigarette since New Year's Eve 2018. So it's been 2 years. 2019, 2020. Yeah, it's been 2 full years since I've smoked a cigarette.
Congrats! I'm trying to get there.
How long did you make it a New Year's resolution? Are you 14 days?
No.
Into it?
I feel like, the whole New Year's resolution. I don't know. There's certain traditional things. I don't do them out of like maybe spite or something. It's like, oh, do this because no, don't do it because of that. Just do it because
I agree with that.
Doing it right. So
yeah. I'm the same. I did have to do the New Year's thing for smoking, but other stuff it's more like it has to be the beginning of the month. I have to have a clean slate to start doing things like that. Like if I'm going to go back onto an eating regimen, for instance, it can't just be like the 24th and I'm like, I'm going to count calories and watch what I eat. I have to start on a day. You know what I mean? But I didn't make any New Year's resolutions this year. I didn't bother.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I really feel. The only thing that has changed is I started my review counter over at 1 for 2021. And I started my movie counter over at 1, my video game counter. Last year I completed 25 games throughout the year. That's another thing I put on my Insta here. But this year, I'm reading books. I'm going to see how many books I can read this year. And throw them on the old Instagram. I don't review video games and I don't review books. I just do the reviews for the movies because I don't feel like writing 1,000 pages. But, yeah. So, continuing on, you seem like you're just wiped out today, buddy.
For real, on an honest level, I'm not feeling the greatest. I fucking really want a cigarette. I think that's the main thing. I did have like a little toot hoot. I did just start a glass of wine. Looking back at the past ones, like I was definitely lit every time we've done this, and it showed or whatever.
Okay, Okay, in that case, why don't I've got pretty extensive notes. Why don't I run it down and you tell me your thoughts on the Sisters Brothers. And if we don't go the full hour, that's fine.
It's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
We just want to put our movies down on video for the world to see because this is our show, and on our show on the Beard Buddies, we do what the fuck we want. So, the opening scene, of course, as I said, is they're doing some sort of breaking into a person's house to kill them. I got major Red Dead Redemption vibes. I don't forget.
Yeah,
have you played those games?
You know what? No, and I'm a little upset with myself. I think my brother had the first one at least anyway. And like he played it. I saw it. Like there'd be times where we'd be passing and I'd see him playing it or whatever. For some reason, I never picked up the sticks, and I know there were a few parts where you're just like on a horse galloping for a while.
Oh yeah,
which is
yes,
like cool
absolutely,
because like the realisticness, but also like fucking annoying, sort of.
So specifically, Red Dead Redemption 2 takes that to the next level, and it's like the realism of the galloping is very real, and it feels real. And this movie really had a lot of them traversing like wide open vistas that really reminded me of Red Dead Redemption 2. There's a part near the end where the scene where they're like, well, we've left the Commodore, we're gonna go and just run for our lives, basically. There's a group of horses, and they're running from a group of horses, and they're having a shootout between the groups of horses, and that was like the most Red Dead Redemption shit I've ever seen put to film. I've also never seen like in Red Dead Redemption, it's like more like a New Orleans city that's built up and big. In this, it was San Francisco. There's not a lot of westerns. Right, yeah. I feel like that show like a city hub like that. Can you think of any? I can't think of like a full on like brick building city. You know, when they're in San Francisco?
In a Western specifically, you mean, I guess?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because usually they do, like, just those, like, fake storefronts.
Well, they usually just do those little towns that are just, like, 6 buildings.
Yeah.
You never see actual, like you know, multi-story buildings with, like, a bustling
like, that's true, I guess. Yeah.
Town with multiple people. You know, maybe like movies that are sort of westerns like later. Like I imagine, what's the gambling western? Maverick? That probably has that.
Maverick? Oh, Maverick's dope. We should do that. What's that movie? John Voight and Dustin Hoffman, I think. I'm pretty sure John Hoyt was like, or Voight or something like that, was like a weird like escort cowboy guy.
That sounds awesome. No, I don't. What movie is that?
It's I'm pretty sure it's the one where he's like, "I'm walking here."
I'll tell you, "I'm Walking Here" is from everything. "I'm Walking Here" was in because it's in. Sort of,
but this is the original. This is the OG. This is where.
Is it? From. Okay.
This is where it came from because it was au naturel. Fucking Dustin Hoffman and I'm pretty sure John Voight were crossing the street. And then this cabbie is like fucking doing its thing, and like like gets up close to Dustin Hoffman or whatever, and he's like trying to cross the street doing the take. And he's like, "I'm walking here." You gotta watch it. It's a weird movie because he's like a cowboy escort.
That sounds amazing. Because the reason why I bring that, when is that? What decade is that movie from? Is it the 70s?
I want to say 70s.
The reason why I brought it up and that "I'm Walking Here" is from everything is because, of course, it's in Futurama.
Yeah.
I believe what the construction bot says it throughout the series. But I picked it up in Weekend at Bernie's 2. at the beginning, they're leaving the building where they work, and they like bump into a guy, and he goes, "I walk in here," and I was like, "What the fuck? That's crazy."
It's been referenced a lot for sure. Why did I watch Weekend at Bernie's 2 recently? Was that on Netflix or something? How did I see that?
I watched it. So I reviewed it, and I have this Twitch channel called Movie Past, Passed,
nice.
that just shows just random weird movies all the time.
Yeah.
Check it out, actually. It's a pretty interesting channel. Shout out to Movie Past. But it was just on one day, and it's cool. It's a Twitch channel that just has movies playing all the time, and they put up their schedule on Instagram. So it feels like old school terrestrial TV. Like it feels like an old school movie channel. Yeah. Like you go, you check what's going to be on for the day, and then you just tune into their Twitch channel. And it's such obscure stuff, and they don't get like a lot of views, so they can just play whatever, and they don't get like copyright claims, because I don't think they have enough eyes on it for Twitch to be like, hey, you're playing. Like obviously, if they played like Marvel movies, they would probably get dinged immediately. Right. But since they're playing like old Lost school Media,
Well, what's that thing? What's that thing when shit becomes free range or whatever the expression is?
I know what you mean. Fucking public domain.
Public domain, exactly. Yeah.
But that's like 50 years. So movies in like the early 70s.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, early 70s movies are now
Midnight
public domain.
Cowboy. I think it's called Midnight.
Oh, is it Midnight Cowboy?
I think it's called Midnight Cowboy. Anyway, you gotta check it out. Yeah,
I will.
Yeah.
So the next part is they're talking about their horses. I'm not gonna talk about every little point, obviously, but I did want to point out that Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly are talking about horses and the mayhem that just happened. There's a scene, like during that scene where they kill the guy, they light the house, they like blow up the house or light the house on fire. There's like flaming horses and stuff. And they're talking about the situation, and they're talking about the horses, and Joaquin Phoenix goes, and he taps his foot twice like a horse. And I was like, that's an interesting choice, because they're talking about horses, and he bellowed like a horse or whatever.
Yeah.
And this movie felt like a small independent movie.
An indie, yeah. Was it a Netflix movie? Was it a Netflix movie?
I think it might have been a Netflix movie, in fact.
Anyway,
because it had that feel, and the production value was very like it felt like they went out somewhere in the northern California, and filmed all these beautiful shots, and then went to a soundstage and filmed all of the like interiors.
Yeah.
Or they went to those little ghost towns that they used to film the like small town themes. Small town shots, and then obviously San Francisco was a fucking green screen. It looked super fake. They showed it long enough, like you see down a row of buildings, and then the roads are filled, and it looked like if you look down, it looks super fake.
When you look at the background, I guess, so like you have like the main city, and then after, just a little bit, it's all like you can tell it's green screen. It almost looks a little. I remember like noticing it looked like kind of like fuzzy or whatever, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. I was gonna say that as well. So then it switches to Jake Gyllenhaal's story, and I was like, I didn't know he was in this movie. That's fucking crazy. Yeah. And it turns out that we don't find this out right away, but he's journaling. He's kind of writing his whole story about what's happening in the world. And we find out that he's helping the sisters brothers find this guy who has the formula.
Right.
And at first, it's like he goes and like befriends this guy, and we don't really know that he has ulterior motives until he's writing in his book. And he sends a letter, I think, to the sisters brothers to be like, hey, I found the guy.
Yeah.
I just got to keep them talking until you guys get here. And it's going to take them about 7 days to get over to where they are because, horse travel and they're going across states.
Exactly, yeah.
Days and days and days.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I'm
So
talking about.
in this part of the movie, they keep switching back and forth it'll be like one quick scene with Sisters Brothers, one quick scene with Jake Gyllenhaal and Warm. Then we go back to John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix's characters, Charlie and Eli, partying. Eli's gone to bed. That's John C. Reilly's character. And he looks out the window and he hears fucking Charlie just like shooting up the place and stumbling out of the fucking bar, which I was like, yes, this is awesome. I see their dynamic now. Like Eli is like, I'm going to go to bed early. We got shit to do. Keep in mind, at this point, we've recognized that both of these guys are amazing gunslingers. It's like throughout the whole movie, they don't get fucking shot once.
Yeah. Classic.
Something horrible happens to Charlie later in the movie, but it does not involve, it's not because he got shot. It's because of like the mishap that happens with the formula.
Because he's dumb.
And he's dumb as fuck. He's like the irrational,
the wild card.
Like hot, wild card, hot-tempered, hot-headed. Yeah. He's smart dumb. You know what I mean? You've met people right?
Like there's things that he has. That's true of anyone. Like everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. He is well gifted in a certain area, but then dumb in others.
Yeah. So I did like that. I did like Jake Gyllenhaal's character too, because he's very like a sensitive guy. He kind of befriends Warm, and until Warm figures out what he's trying to do, trying to get lure him to the Sisters Brothers.
Yeah.
I thought that he was going to be the main antagonist in a way that's he's the good guy trying to take down the Sisters Brothers because the Sisters Brothers are like anti-heroes.
Yeah.
But what we find out is they're all kind of anti-heroes, and Warm is just a scientist who's trying to fucking get away from the Commodore, and he wants to start a company and sell this formula that he has. This formula, is it a real thing? And what the fuck is it? Because you have to lube up your skin to not get burned by it, but you can wash it off if it touches your bare skin.
Well, that's
only thing I could.
That's usually how they warn you if something happens, like wash yourself, or those things where you spray water in your eye. Like it's not that highly scientific, but I guess it works.
But what? So the only things I could think of that would do that to your skin are like bleach, mercury, and then I wish that I would have looked up if this was real beforehand, because I want to know if that sludge that they used. So what it is it's just like this vat of like a thick viscous liquid.
It was like gas, so when they were pouring like gasoline or oil or something, or which it's like not tar. What it is. Yeah, tar.
It was like a tar, and when you pour it into the water, if you're a prospector, you agitate the water, and then it makes the gold illuminate on the bottom of the, like where you would,
like I guess it reacts to the gold or something like.
That's what I was thinking, right? Yeah. That's what I was thinking. There was a chemical reaction between the gold and whatever the stuff they were pouring into the water, and that was a really cool scene where it was glowing. But if you get too close to the stuff, or if you're in it for too long, it burns your skin. And if you're exposed to the stuff directly, it's not a good scene if that happens to you. So, exactly. So, okay, so the next shit is the toothbrushing part we already talked about. Then, it's like the next morning after he's shot up the bar, and they're riding along, and Joaquin Phoenix falls off his horse, And this is when we realize, well, if we did not know already, that he's got a horrible drinking problem,
Yeah.
which kind of is his main character flaw throughout the whole movie. Kind of fucks things up a lot. It kind of fuels his greed, his irrationality. And the problem here is he pukes. He falls off his horse and then pukes. And John C. Reilly's character, Eli, is like, dude, we're assassins. You can't be stinking drunk in the daytime when we're like running from the law and trying to take down this highly sought after target. And he's like, fuck you, man. I'll do what I won't. I'm drunk. It's hilarious. And I was like, yes, Joaquin Phoenix, it is hilarious. It is funny that you are that drunk, but I can also see it from John C. Reilly's point of view that maybe don't be that drunk all the time.
Which is an interesting, like, almost turn of tables or whatever.
Yeah.
To see, like, John C. Reilly kind of be the straight arrow like that.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to point out is how we're right at that Wild West where towns are popping up all over the place. That was a little bit of an aside, but Jake Gyllenhaal points that out. That's another thing that reminded me of Red Dead Redemption 2 specifically, because Red Dead 2 is a prequel to Red Dead Redemption 1. And in Red Dead Redemption 2, it's very much all these new towns are popping up.
Yeah.
And they're very underdeveloped.
Trying to get us, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the part where we go into, they stop to camp. Joaquin Phoenix's character, Charlie, is under his blanket. He's like crying or some shit. And John C. Reilly goes over and pulls the blanket off him to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, haha, got ya. And makes kissy faces at him.
Yeah.
And I was like, you stinker.
There'd be little things every once in a while. It just kind of like I didn't understand what kind of movie it was. Like what it was trying to be.
It was like a thriller, drama, black comedy. The thriller is sort of they're being chased, they're doing assassin shit. The drama was the drama, and the black comedy was the little bits of comedy that would shine through. But they were
nuggets.
But they weren't like ha ha funny. They were like, that's fucked up in a funny way.
Yeah.
Especially this next bit. I talked about it at the very beginning, but my favorite scene in the movie is John C. Reilly sleeping, and a spider crawls across his face and goes in its mouth. We don't get the classic trope where it wakes him up immediately. He swallows it, and the spider survives, because the next morning he wakes up, and his fucking face is all swollen. And that goes into a whole chaos kind of scene where it's raining, and they're trying to set up camp, and Joaquin Phoenix is like, can barely function as a human anyway, let alone take care of somebody. And they hunker down. The horses are going nuts. And then I liked how they did the day to night scenes. It would be very much like chaos is happening and then dead silent.
Right.
And just like somebody waking up.
I feel like that
that
felt realistic or whatever for like the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. At that time his face was just swollen. There's no fucking way. Even so, John C. Reilly gets up and pukes, and these spiders and web come out, and he's probably like, do I have a literal curse? Because like what would cause you to throw up spider webs? And that's when Joaquin Phoenix is like, dude, last night was crazy. Obviously, he says it in like an 1800s-y kind of way. I think this is the 1850s when this movie takes place.
That's how.
But he's like, I think it's 1851. I think at the very beginning, it's like the Sisters Brothers, 1851.
Imagine living back in those days, though, man. Like,
I probably smelled terrible. Gotta say.
I mean, there'd be a lot of coolness to it, though. Like, Smell, I mean, that would go away after a while. Once your smell receptors fill up, you don't
Yeah,
smell it anymore. So
that's
you
true.
know what? It would only smell for a little bit. It would smell, but then it would be gone. Well, it wouldn't be gone,
Well, if
but
you went back there, if you lived there from the beginning, you
no,
wouldn't.
yeah.
You
If
would
we
just.
if we
You
took a
wouldn't
trip back
notice.
right now,
Yeah, it'd be terrible.
for
Um,
if we went for like 2 weeks, 2 weeks, half a week to like kind of get used to shit, and then about a week of like regularly getting used to shit, and then half a week of oh no, I want to stay longer.
but Warm says it at one point. The scientist goes, "This world's an abomination." And that's how I kind of think of it. If you live in that world, you don't know that in 150 years from then we would have, modern shit. Like they even when they're in San Francisco,
Yeah.
he's like, this is a water closet. This is where you use the bathroom. And then they go in and flush the toilet, and their minds are blown by running water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is just what you
That
know.
would be crazy. Yeah.
All you know is being in the woods, hunting for your food, going to town to get some booze,
But that's what I'm
trading
saying. That
booze.
shit sounds dope. I want to go back to that lifestyle.
I think if that's the only lifestyle you had, though, it's not that cool. I think
I
what you're
mean, that's a
thinking
good
of
point. That's a good point. When it's and
when you're
actually,
struggling, it's
yeah, exactly. The if so, that could be someone's high point as opposed to someone else's low point or whatever, right? Like different scales of shit or whatever, or different where they're coming from beforehand. But also, uh, when like someone tells you to do something you were already gonna do, and then you don't want to do it anymore.
yes,
It's almost like that. It's like if you're forced to
yeah.
live a certain way, where it's like, oh, that would be fucking like cool to go. Like, don't get me wrong, all of these luxuries are awesome, but at the same time, I could have a pretty much all of this taken away, and maybe like it's like with cable. When you get rid of cable, when you first get rid of it, you're like, and then after like a week or two, don't even give a fuck.
I'm to the point with cable where even going back to cable is like it's too much. I would
Fuck
rather be able
cable.
to. I want to be able to pick whatever I want to watch whenever I want to watch it. I like going to like if I go to my dad's house or my mom's place, they have cable because they're boomers.
Yeah.
I like channel surfing,
Yeah.
but I only like it like when I was younger. I loved it for hours and hours, but now I can only like channel surf a little bit, and then I'm just back on my phone, just like reading Reddit. Like I don't like. But if I'm going to watch something, I put something on that I choose. And that's why I like streaming services and movies and that kind of stuff now. Even
I wish.
YouTube,
Yeah.
YouTube is my new channel surfing because
Oh yeah.
that's a thing where I'll watch a video for a few minutes and be like, nah, on to the next one.
Yeah.
And that has the same kind of ads that TV had when we were younger, where it's like,
Kinda, yeah.
but you can't skip ads on TV unless you have. My dad actually is pretty smart. He's got a PVR, and he'll tape like three shows at the same time, and then when there's a commercial break on one show, he'll switch to the other show. But then later, he'll just record a show that he knows he wants to watch without commercials, and then just watch it with it. Just fast forward through commercials, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's ways around it nowadays, but like honestly, I get what you mean. Like cable is kind of bullshit.
I mean,
And it's too expensive.
it's an it's no longer necessary. It's been weeded out. It's the whole survival of the fittest thing. Like it doesn't match up to like how like what we want and what's being offered. It's
Yeah.
mostly just a bunch of commercials. Although I don't know what it is, and I'm not sure if you've ever felt this, but there's been times where so like I have a bunch of movies. I have a bunch of I have a couple like shows on DVD or whatever as well. And so like sometimes like I'll chuck on like a series or whatever. I don't know what it is, But sometimes there's some shows that just feel better watching them as a show on TV and like with commercials. I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes they just feel better that way.
I'll tell you
Maybe
a
nostalgia.
kind of
I don't know.
show that I feel exactly that way about for a couple of reasons. Food Network.
What?
Food Network doesn't feel right without commercials. Just sitting down and watching a Food Network show kind of feels weird, like Cutthroat Kitchen or Chopped or Guy Fieri shit. The other part of it is that to go online and try to pirate shows that they air on the Food Channel isn't a thing because they're so consumable. I was talking to my wife about this today. I was thinking about this today. They're so consumable that you can if people even decide to put them up online, they don't stay up online because you have to seed these things. You have to have them up on your server seeding for people to download them.
Sure.
You can go back maybe a week of Food Network shows. Beyond that, you're not going to find it. So it's not like you could go and find all 48 episodes of Guy Fieri's Kitchen Games or whatever that shit's called. You wouldn't even be able to find it. Same thing with shows on like TLC, like 90 Day Fiance. Can't, once they air, they're online for a little bit and then they're gone forever. They're on somebody's fucking hard drive somewhere. They're not sharing it anymore. And in the future, and actually now is a good time where this is happening on YouTube. People are putting up, it's obscure media, right? People are putting it up. And you can find some stuff, but you can never find full seasons of these old reality shows, basically.
Yeah.
Because they're so consumable that you watch it and you're like, okay, I'm never going to fucking need to watch that particular episode of the show again. But, and nobody else is. But
maybe we should kind of start it.
Yeah, just start filling terabyte hard drives with Food Network and TLC shows.
If that's all you need,
you would need hundreds of terabytes. That's why people don't keep them around too, because they're the same amount of space as a regular TV show.
Yeah. Nobody
cares. That's the problem. And if you think about it, in the Wild West, when this movie takes place, all they were doing was scheming, hunting, being assassins like in this, hunting bounties, drinking, whoring.
In the moment, it would be rough.
Television was the fire, essentially.
Yeah, that's dope. It fucking warms you.
That's true. And also, like, when we go, like, I don't know how much camping you do, but when you're camping, you just stare at the fire for as long as you're sitting around the fire.
How much camping I do? How much camping do you do, sir?
I go for like a week a year. Sometimes.
When can I come?
Sometimes twice. Well, we live in different provinces.
So?
When there's no pandemic, you are 100% welcome to not only come and sleep on my couch for as long as you want, but come camping with us. That would be hilarious.
That's not camping. Oh, okay, nice.
No, I mean, come stay with me and then we go camping.
Yeah, we could plan something like if and when. Anyway, yeah. I did. There was a tent on sale at Canadian Tire, and I bought it.
Nice. Did you use it?
Not yet. I bought it the other day.
Awesome.
I've gone camping.
The other day, like recently?
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Like
1 or 2 weeks ago, something like that. But it was on sale, so like I couldn't say no. It's one of those dope Coleman instant tents.
Yeah, they're bomb. That's what we use. You just go, and it's a whole tent.
Exactly. I went camping maybe a handful of times before that with a very special person to me at the time who, maybe I've ruined things with. I don't know. But it was a fun time.
All right. That sounds great.
What's next on the list for the movie?
So we're running down on time here. We got about 15, 20 minutes left. So let's So the next thing that happens is they get to the town where Worm and John are supposed to be. That's Jake Gyllenhaal's character. They have a bit of a fight about let's load them up. It took them 4 extra days to get there because of, Charlie was getting drunk, Eli was sick. They get there, then that's when.
Should we preface the episodes with spoiler alerts?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely, because I'm explaining the whole plot. So they get there. That's something we should talk about. Do we want to do these more non-spoilery?
Oh yeah.
But I'm gonna say what happens.
Well, do this. Finish this thought. Keep going.
So they get to Mayfield. They wonder if it was called Mayfield when they got there, if somebody named it, which is a confusing thing to say, but I understood what he meant. But they meet Mayfield. That's the woman. She's the barkeep. She knows who they are. She kind of plays it off like she doesn't really, but she does. Then we get that weird scene with Eli and the prostitute. Charlie goes off to party. Eli is a very humble, simple man, but he's got this thing. He's got this shawl that I don't know if it's his mom's or some lost love.
Yeah.
He goes up to a prostitute. It's like, I'll pay you to talk. And then she's like, okay, that's fucking weird. And he's like, hand the shawl to me and give it to me like you're giving it to me as if I'm going away. And then they have a back and forth that's very that was kind of funny.
Yeah. I think it means, though, that it was a lost lover or whatever.
Yeah, because he definitely jerks off with it later in the next scene, after this. So basically, she's like, they have this weird little encounter where he's like, just give it to me and tell me, basically look me in the eyes and pretend you're my long lost love.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, here, take this and as a reminder of me. I put a bit of my perfume on it. He's like, great. What's the deal with me? What's the deal with this place? She's like, watch out for Mayfield, because Mayfield, just watch out. Then he goes to find Charlie, but he looks down into the bar, and the fucking dudes are doing a circle pit. When you see Hasidic Jewish people do that circle dance? They're doing it. The weird circle dance, where they're in a crowd doing a circle dance. But not like that, but they're all marching in a circle, which I've also seen Orthodox, Hasidic Jewish people do. Anyway, that was weird. That was just
I had a haircut like that.
Like this?
Well, it was kind of like a bob, maybe. I don't know. Corey said I looked like an Hasidic Jew.
Okay, that's funny.
Very acidy.
So he goes and gets Charlie. He's like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Charlie's wasted. But they managed to get out of there. And earlier, Charlie goes, there's a lot of raccoons. I love dead raccoons. He's not being racist, which I construed that as. It's actually this group of woodsmen who dress in pelts, who are also assassins.
Yeah.
And they confront them, and they have a shootout. And I was like, oh, fuck, one of these guys is going to get hit. But nope. They fucking have a great shootout, and fucking the sisters, brothers lay waste to these dudes. But the problem is now, they got to flee. So they go to the woods, and that's when our group comes together. Charlie goes to sleep. Eli jerks off to the shawl. Very good. And your boys, John and Worm, come out of the bushes and are like, you guys are looking for this guy? Well, I've run off with him because we're going to start a business. So we're locking you up. So they tie him up. Then the next morning, the fucking more of the raccoons, the woodsman types, come and seek these mafikas out. They have a shootout, but Worm isn't a gunfighter. He's a scientist.
Right.
And Jake Gyllenhaal's character, John, is kind of a pretty boy,
he's a writer.
Philosopher, writer.
Yeah.
So, the sisters, brothers are tied up, and they're like, do you want us all to die, or are you going to give us guns and let us go?
Yeah.
And as soon as they let them go, they fucking just lay waste to all the dudes. Charlie puts on one of their hats, and they have a very close moment where they John and Charlie shoot one of the raccoons, and then they're holding guns at each other like, we're doing this, and then they both put their guns down, and they kind of decide to form a posse. Basically, they form a little union.
Alliance, yeah.
And that's when the whole this whole sequence can sort of be described as Worm tells them all about the formula. They decide, let's use the formula, and they drink all night and have a great time. And when they finally decide to use the formula, they put the right amount in the water. It illuminates gold. It blows their mind.
Yeah.
They get excited. They can only stay in the water for a certain amount of time, so they get out. But Charlie stays in because he's a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
And then when they're coming back to the water to get more, Charlie's like,
it's starting to fade away.
It's starting to fade. We got to put more in the water. So he goes and grabs a whole jug of the stuff and pours it all over himself and into the water. And because Worm and John are trying to go towards him, they also get splashed with it. They're trying to go towards him.
Going in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was the climax of the movie is actually extremely sad. Also around this time is when that horse meets its untimely end. There's a bit of a buddy ship that works up between Worm and Eli. That was nice. That's right. And it was kind of a bummer because the next morning, Worm has it all over his face and he's blinded. And he's like, he dies naturally.
Yeah.
But John is alive enough that he has to be put out of his misery.
He's feeling the pain and doesn't want to anymore.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Charlie's arm gets so badly burned by whatever this potion is that the very next scene is a very gruesome couple of uncomfortable minutes where they saw his arm off in one of the most, they don't actually show it, which was great, but one of the most
they showed it in a way where I was like, oh, that actually, like, how are you doing that shot? Because it looked like it was just one full shot, like they didn't have like two shots or anything like that. But I don't know, because there was a bit of movement, right? There was the arm in the way, so like I can see, like, yeah, they could probably have like some there, I guess. But yeah, it was good. I liked it.
They do show it for a second, and it's a very blue arm, like clearly dead, and they're giving her, but it only shows it for a second. They kind of do that a lot in this movie where they show the gross stuff for like a second. They don't hang on it, and that's sort of what makes it the difference between like a horror movie and a drama and a thriller. For instance, Bone Tomahawk is a straight horror movie, and the gore in that, they just hold on it like this.
Yeah.
So anyway, the next bit is now they're running from the Commodore because word gets back to the Commodore that they've denounced the Commodore. We're no longer working. We're no longer doing assassins for him. And we get this great montage of them just like defending themselves against these different groups of bounty hunters. And then one day, Eli is like, hey, have you noticed that nobody's come after us in about 4 days? Charlie's like, no, I'm a fucking idiot. But earlier on, Charlie, I think John asked Charlie, when they're in San Francisco, they have a conversation that goes, Charlie's like, we're going to do this forever. We're the Sisters brothers. And Charlie's like, Eli,
it's
John
like
C. Reilly's
it's like they're your kids.
Yes. John C. Reilly is like, this is the last shit. We're going to get this gold or we're done. And Charlie's like, done what? And Eli's like, we're going to open a store. And he's like, what store? So anyway, to bring it to where we're at now, they're sort of like, well, I always wanted to kill the Commodore. So why don't we go fucking kill him now that he doesn't have guys? He must have run out of dudes, is how I kind of interpreted that.
Yeah.
So they go back to whatever city the Commodore's in, and they get there, and they plan this whole like heist basically to go in. You go around the left side, I'll go around the right. We go in there and we shoot them. They get there and the fucking guy's already dead, which is funny. See, that's comedy, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't translate that well in this movie to be comedy. It just sort of happens, and it's very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Is how I sort of interpreted it.
Which is like,
So
it's so when Andy Kaufman used to like do little things that are like, it was more so funny for him, like it was almost like an inside joke or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other funny part about that is Eli just beats on the dead body, be like, "You better be dead." He's very much dead. And then that's pretty much the end of the movie. The next scene is they leave and they go find their mom's house.
Yeah,
and I guess
the mom's. Yeah,
they live happily ever after at the mom's, and that's just how it ends.
She
and
didn't
also,
want them, but then they're like, "No, we're done.
Yeah,
we're tired."
And also, pretty sure that mom was the Sugar Plum princess, the Ghost of Christmas present from Scrooged.
That would be dope. Can we look this up right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right quick.
Do you have things accessible?
Yeah, I do. I'm doing it right now.
Nice. We need a chair guy. We need a computer guy.
Jamie, pull it up.
Jamie. What other sweet ass guys? What other
You want to get some sweet ass guys in here, Caleb? I mean, I'm down. I'm a heterosexual man, but like not that heterosexual.
Damn, Jamie's good. 2 syllables. Billy.
Yeah, it was Carol Kane.
It was her?
Yep.
Nice.
From Gotham and from Scrooged.
Oh man, Gotham's a dope fucking show. Or was a dope show.
Good.
One of the best Jokers.
We talked about that.
Like, Heath Ledger's dope, but fucking what's his face? Whew.
The dude from Shameless.
Yeah. I'm sitting in a different spot this week, which
I like it.
Also added to the like different layout of, or the feng shui or the vibe or whatever of today's episode.
Well, you got Jesus and you got what, Bikini Bottom?
Yes, that one is Bikini Atoll or whatever. That one is not Jesus. It's a philosopher, a gathering of philosophers or something like that. I forget what it's called. Corey got that one for me. It's pretty dope. I think it's got Socrates or Plato in the middle there. I think it might be Plato, actually.
So, in summation, just wrapping things up here. So, you at the beginning of the show, you talked about you weren't really sure what you were getting into, and then, like me, I was afraid this was going to be a bad movie for the first act until they started explaining things, and I was like, oh, they just wanted, like I said, they just wanted world build. What's your final sort of thought on the movie as a whole, especially after I basically just recited the whole movie back to you?
And I appreciate it. I'm disappointed with myself that I need to watch it again. Like I do need to watch it again to get a better appreciation for it. To just kind of like answer that question right now, there's been movies for sure that are, they're just different. They don't follow the same beat of the drum or whatever that your basic, majority of movies kind of follow. Like a lot of movies have like certain beats that just, it's just how it, like, you can feel it coming or whatever. Like you just expect it all. It's how it should be or whatever. It's all nicely blah blah blah. So this one was different. Like it threw me off, and then also I was coming in from a bad position because I ended up watching it this morning. I was so I was like, we were talking a little while ago trying to figure out a movie, and I was like, oh, I've seen it, and then this one came up. I was like, I hadn't seen it yet. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna watch it, and then I was like, well, I gotta watch it eventually, and I should have watched it the other day, and
Mm-hmm.
like actually just kind of like it was weird. Like I watched it this morning, like I had time, like it wasn't like timing, but it was just it was a different vibe or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And just on top of that, I wasn't ready. It was unexpected for what it was. And then it started, like, there were interesting moments sprinkled throughout, for sure. The whole gold thing, I was like, okay, like this scene is dope. Like I like what's going on, and like the fact that like just what happened, and then fucking having to take care of themselves or whatever kind of thing. And they had a nice little. It looks good. Like when they were looking at who came to help him, who came to like sit by Jake again. Was it
It was
Joaquin?
It was Charlie. Yeah, it was Joaquin.
Yeah. And so what was the question again? What are my thoughts on it? Patience. More than one viewing if you want to actually absorb it. To be continued. How's that? Does that work as
Great.
a response to that question?
Yeah, that's perfect. I to play off what you said, I wholeheartedly, I think I liked it a bit more than you did off a first viewing.
Yeah.
Just because I don't, like I said at the very beginning of the show, you watch, way more movies than I do, so you have more things to compare it to, right? I don't. The only movie I compared this to was a video game and Bone Tomahawk, which I didn't really like. It was a bad Western, I thought, but a lot of people love that movie. It's a really low budget indie. Have you seen it?
No, I don't think so.
Check it out. It's a horror movie, but it's not. There's only one really bad, gross part. It's really like it's kind of like this, where there's a lot of traveling from point A to point B, but it's got kind of a gray hue to it. It's not as interesting. This was beautiful. It was shot beautifully. I really liked seeing the mix of Jake Gyllenhaal, John C. Reilly, and Joaquin Phoenix. I thought their performances were all fantastic, and I do think that it takes literally 40 minutes for you to start putting pieces together. But like I said, that's just because the director and the writer wanted to make this world, and because they created this world, I want a TV show that's two assassins going and doing just assassin things. Somewhere in between the first assassination we see and them going on this quest to find the formula. Somewhere in there, you do 6 or 8, like a limited run, or maybe like a 10-episode miniseries. And each episode is them going. Yeah. So that's how I felt. I give it a 4.2, which is, I feel like, might be high for you. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was. I'm looking forward to watching it again because I want to make that first act make sense. I'm
looking forward to watching it again now.
Awesome. So this has been the Beard Buddies. Once again, we're gonna try to put episodes up a little bit more frequently. We've talked about doing The Mule next.
I didn't watch it yet.
Neither did I, but I think before we do The Mule, this experiment went well, but maybe we watch a movie we're both familiar with again, because I feel like we might have more to talk about.
Like a
I feel like I
backup.
did a majority of the I did the majority of the talking because I took like stupidly comprehensive notes where you watched the movie and just reacted to what you remembered basically. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
like
And
I
I'm
I feel
disappointed
like
with myself about that. I did not. I wasn't as prepared with this thing, and I feel bad about that.
don't feel
And I
bad about it. It's still
apologize.
a great episode. It's all
Uh,
good.
yeah, it'll be fine. It's one. Yeah, you know when you get really close to a TV and what you thought was the color, blue, is actually all these fucking colors together.
Yep,
So like this one's one of the colors.
exactly. Exactly. So I'm gonna
Um,
end it there to keep my sorry, go ahead.
no. But so what you were saying, maybe like go back and forth between a movie that we know and then one that's an unknown, and who knows what the reaction will be, right?
It might be too much to say 2 or 3 weeks from now throw down the mule because I think that's going to be another movie that was in the same vein as this where I don't know what to expect but I've
I
heard
feel
it's
like the
hilarious but
mule,
in a bad way.
the I feel like the mule will definitely, you know what, I feel like the mule will actually be like Gran Torino, and Gran Torino was a dope fucking movie, so
Yeah,
I can't wait. I
I've
will
heard the mule
definitely.
is like that and it's like curmudgeonly old Clint Eastwood just fucking being a
Being,
curmudgeonly old man and getting
yeah,
into all these ridiculous situations that are hilarious.
yeah.
And that's what I'm excited for. So that's coming down the pipe. But next time we're on, we're going to watch something that we probably more skews comedy, I would say.
Stay tuned, viewers.
Stay tuned, viewers.
Should we decide now, or we'll figure it out?
We'll figure it out. We'll surprise the fans. We'll surprise the fan.
Oh, actually, even better, even better. Uh, let's hear from you folks at home. Uh, uh, what would you like to hear us talk about?
You can direct message us. You can leave a comment on this video. You can find me in the club.
Follow the
Comment.
instructions below. Uh, hashtag the @ signs and or call toll free. How else do people message people these days?
That's it. Call
Oh,
toll free.
regular mail
Yeah.
too. You know what? We need to keep the post office alive. Regular mail. Maybe it'll be on next season's episode, but it'll be on eventually.
It will. It's true.
Jace, man.
K-Man, K-Jarino from the K-Town. Nope, from Halifax, the K-Town. Have a good night, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
God bless.
God.
Oh, okay, fine. I'll take it back. I need a better sign off or insignia. You know those things that have the gyroscope or whatever?
You're losing me, bud.
Segway. No, 1 second. 1 second. Here it comes. Oh, God damn it. Ah, damn, that's God again. No, that won't work. I love you.